What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into X-Men Blue Origins issue number 1 one-shot. This is the true origins of Nightcrawler. This is an issue I promise you guys you do not want to miss. This is such a sad but also a very beautiful story. Now, if you've been keeping up with Uncanny Spider-Man, you'll see that Nightcrawler has taken over, or at least is pretending to be one of the spider people. He does this to stay undercover. Right now, mutant kind is being hunted down. And so his spider disguise is the best way for him to stay hidden, but also help some people out. What we have seen with Mystique is that something is wrong with her mind. Something is broken. Nightcrawler is about to find out exactly why her mind is broken. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up at the Hellfire Gala. We pick up when Xavier told everybody to walk through those gates. We see Xavier telling her to leave, begging for this to stop, pleading for this not to happen. We see Raven throw herself over a ledge. While we observe this happening, we see that little demon, that one that has been in the mind of Nightcrawler. We know that this demon is somehow connected to Legion, but we don't know exactly how. But in this story, the little demon says that he is going to be extremely important moving forward. In fact, what he says verbatim, I'm actually super important, just not to this specific story. Now, this little guy, he's making it easy for the readers who really haven't been keeping up with the Fall of X or Uncanny Spider-Man. He's filling them in on everything that is currently ongoing. The Hellfire Gala, the Mutant Massacre, the mass deportation of mutant kind to Mars. All of that is going on, and then there is Mystique. When she threw herself over the cliff, she didn't die. We see her get up to her feet, and she goes to the nearest ship. That happens to be an Orcus ship. Her mind is broken at this point, continuing to say, "My baby. What did you do with my baby?" Even with her brain so scrambled, she knew exactly where she was going. This is what picks us up in current day. Nightcrawler is chasing after Raven. At this point, he hasn't shown his face. We all assume that she doesn't know who he is exactly, as she is going on about her baby being taken, about the forest. Nightcrawler is trying to tell her that this is all ancient history, but she puts that gun up to his head and she tells him that you don't know anything, as he goes on to say that she was masquerading as the wife of Baron Christian Wagner, exploiting his wealth, his home, his power. Nightcrawler always assumed that he was an easy stopgap during a separation from her true love, Destiny. But for Raven, Christian was never an easy anything. He was a boring and weak man. This is where Nightcrawler assumes the affair with Azazel came into play. Raven thought she was in love with him. She pictured herself a mutant queen with a darkling prince. But she was a fool. Once he had left his seed, he wanted nothing to do with her. And of course, Christian had grown suspicious. Nightcrawler assumes this is when she had killed Christian. She had lived as a human for 2 years. What finally caused the mask to slip? It was the moment that she felt her son's skin against her own. The townsfolk had heard. Lynch mobs, Bibles, all the good craziness. She fled with her child. But whichever way she tells this story, something doesn't seem to add up. She knew that she had to go back for something, but wasn't sure what it was. She went to rescue her wife. This is where Nightcrawler says, wait, hold on, what are you talking about? That has never been part of the story that I have been told. Somehow, Destiny was involved in all of this. With her mind still splintering, she pulls a gun on Nightcrawler and he pulls out the Hope Sword. Symbolically speaking, the Hope Sword is a hope that the world might be able to be built new, that a better world can be built, and the courage to fight for it. It is all of Nightcrawler's hope. That is when he takes the Hope Sword and he hands it to Raven. Once she grasps the hilt of that sword, she remembers everything. It has always been about Destiny. Now, the two of them, they never had a simple love. Irene's mind, it has always been ruled and chained by the what-ifs and the thens, the maybes and the what-to-comes. Where Raven, she has always lived and existed in the moment. They always find each other, they love, and they part ways. They agreed long ago that they would take lovers if loneliness or despair ever demanded such. And so everybody that she was ever with was just a placeholder until destiny could return. But no matter what they did, no matter who they may have been in bed with, the rule was it had to benefit them. For the love of each other, they bled the world dry. It wasn't long before she was wed to Christian, and being wed to Christian, that's when she hired Irene as the new maid. Christian obviously none the wiser to what is actually happening, but Raven is moving in her lover. This is where she met Azazel, a man that couldn't wait to reveal himself for who he truly was. But Raven grew bored of him very quickly as well. But Irene did encourage the affair, not understanding why at the time. But Irene was distracted. She was distracted with the future. It haunted her every single night. One night she does wake up and she lets Raven know that she would like to start a family, that she would like to build a family with Raven. Now, there were other pregnancies, there were other births, before and after, accidents, inconvenience, tragedies upon arrival, but never a child conceived in love. And so the two of them together, they made a baby. And at first, this confuses Nightcrawler. How is that possible when both of you are women? The truth is, Raven is no ordinary person. For many years, we have assumed that Raven is simply just a shapeshifter, but she has lived for years as sapient males, years more as females. And while Nightcrawler doesn't fully understand the science, the genetics behind how any of this might work, everybody thinks that Raven can just shift skin, like a clever little blue squid. But what they don't understand is that she can change herself down to the very cellular level. Her hormones, her sex organs, she can change all of it. Now Nightcrawler, he's a little worried about this, because he believes that this is really close to playing God. Normally she wouldn't be one to mess around with something like this, but she had borrowed traits from the flesh that she had touched. Christian, Azazel, and countless others. They were but the shades on the palette. Now Mystique, she wanted a girl. She wanted a daughter. That obviously didn't happen. There is a data page in here which is essentially saying that Mystique is not a shapeshifter, she is a gene shifter. Her flesh is the most sophisticated biological apparatus that Dr. Nemesis had ever encountered. The only thing that stops him from using the terminology of Omega Power Set when we are talking about Mystique is that she has yet to be able to display the capability of mimicking others' X genes, or of manipulating her own. The question remains, could she? Would she? If she was capable of doing such things, we might be able to label her an Omega level mutant. But this is when Raven gets a headache. Memories being revealed, deeper patterns. She ended up entangled with Azazel immediately. He yelled that it was his decision, that he wanted to sow his seeds, and nothing more. Back at home, Christian was growing a little suspicious, but she was growing her baby bump at the same time that Irene was. This is to keep up appearances. Still, Christian grew paranoid, and one night he comes bursting in on both Irene and Mystique. This is when Raven killed Christian. Using his face, she dismissed the rest of the staff. From time to time, she would play his wife, showing up in town, full bloom of pregnancy, keeping up all the appearances. She did find herself keeping the belly when she was around Irene, and Irene kind of understood. It was almost like both of them were carrying the child. Those were among the happiest times of her life. And then the day came. 22 hours of labor. When the baby came out, the baby was blue. A young blue baby boy. The doctor, he says that it might be right to get rid of this child. That it might be mercy to take it out of this world. If you look at it and see the deformities, everything that is wrong with it, the world would not accept this. This was her perfect little baby boy of a child. Out of all the evils she may have committed, this is the best thing she ever did in her life. She put away the facade of the human that she pretended to be. She let her blue skin come out. And it wasn't long before the townspeople came for her. Irene knew what would happen. She told Mystique to take the baby and run. And that's exactly what she did. She took young Nightcrawler and she ran as far as she could. She ran deep into the forest and she set that baby down, swearing that she would return for her child. But she had to go back for Irene first. But when she got there, Irene was gone. And when she raced back to the forest, her child was gone as well. Everything that she loves was taken away in a single night. This is where Nightcrawler finally takes off his mask, saying that he should have done this sooner. He apologizes, but he wasn't sure how she would react. When he goes to say that it is me, Mystique tells him that I know exactly who you are. Deep down, she probably knew since the first time she saw that ridiculous outfit. But she also says that I don't need your pity. Xavier had pushed her mind too hard. Her mind resisted by regressing to a point of pure focus, of pure hate. Nightcrawler wanting to talk about this, Raven says that there's no point in doing that. They have lived lifetimes apart. She is not that mother anymore and he is not that baby any longer. But she is going to keep diving into her memories to see how far down this all goes. That's what picks us up at the day that Mystique had finally found Irene. Raven is more than ready to put a bullet in the back of Irene. But right now, there is a young girl, Anna Marie, aka Rogue, a very young Rogue. No family, nowhere to go, living on the streets. Destiny has been dreaming about her a lot. Mystique doesn't care about this little girl, not at first, because Irene has been gone for 5 years. Destiny swears the answers are coming, but the pimps and pushers, they are going to be coming for Rogue very soon. That if you don't pick her up in 15 minutes, her fate will fall under. And so Mystique did. She went to that young girl and she took her in. And this is when she finally told Raven everything. Why she had seemed so distant before Azazel appeared. How in truth, she placed the call that brought him to town. Why she encouraged the pointless affair. It was the visions of what would happen. It always was. If Azazel had not believed that he had an heir, he would have tried to take over everything. He would have destroyed the world, unless a child was born that he assumed was his own. Unless his preoccupation with his heirs. This would allow the boy to sabotage the plans of the father. Nightcrawler had to be born so that he could take down Azazel. Nightcrawler had to be left in the woods so that he could be found by somebody else. He had to be raised as an outcast. He had to be raised battered, beaten, and burned by the world. He would become better with every blow. He would rise above every loss. All of this was the plans of destiny. For Nightcrawler to become the man he is today, Raven and Irene had to give up their child. But there was a way to fix it, or at least Irene believes so. That's what led them to Charles Xavier. Knowing what they had to do but unable to live with it. They want all the memories gone. The pregnancy, the visions. Irene wanted to focus on her wife and her daughter. That daughter, of course, being Rogue. Raven was never about this, but she agreed to it. The only memory she wanted left is the memory that she does have a son. Xavier agreed to this, letting them know that you will owe me a favor. And so Raven, after all of these years, she believed that she had abandoned her son. The love that she had for her son was stolen away. The life that she had, or should have had, was stolen away. Her baby was taken away from her. This is when Nightcrawler comes up and lets her know that your son is here, that you don't ever have to be alone again. Right now, your son needs you more than ever, and you need your son. The truth is, he needed you his whole lonely life. And it is in the darkest of hollows that the brightest flames are lit. As the two of them embrace, that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Man, was this one heck of an issue. Kind of revamping the history of Raven and Nightcrawler. What we learn is that Destiny, chained by her visions, by her mutant gift, she felt she had no other option but to give up her only son. Raven's child, the child that they had together, that he had to go through these trials and tribulations to become the savior that he was meant to be. This was such a beautiful story and it was so well done. It makes sense, it fits perfectly. And coming into the fact that Mystique isn't a shapeshifter, but she is in fact a gene shifter. That actually fits perfectly. The idea that she can manifest male organs, produce the things that she needs to produce to be able to have children. It's not outside the realm of possibility considering her power scope, considering the abilities that she does have. I think it is brilliant. It is absolutely amazingly done, and the fact that she is borderline Omega, that makes sense. This makes me think, would she have the capability of being on the level of Tarn the Uncaring? Because he's a gene manipulator as well. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that if she truly trained, if she truly focused on this gene training, if you will, that one day she might be able to reach the level of Tarn the Uncaring, that she might be able to manipulate the genes in other people. The potential is there, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for her. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. How do you feel about the new origins of Nightcrawler? If you would like to find out everything going on with the Fall of X, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything that is going on with the Fall of X. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.